We got everyone back? Is anyone else?
Good. You also gotta go over everything that you picked up.
No, I just planned on skipping the most important part.
PowerPoint. I already know how to do that.
That's a fair question.
I don't know how to hold a board
It's,
properly, but
well, so the thing is, he's been training me for about 6 months, and I am condensing
about a year now.
oh yeah, actually it's been about a year. But I'm basically condensing about 2 months of each weapon into 1 day.
Okay.
I take things fairly slowly because I want to make sure people retain it, but I can't get down here all the time, and that would take longer than a year to get you guys trained up. So I figure seminars is the way to do it. Other thing as well, when you guys are getting your water breaks and stuff, if you guys have your phones on you, I highly recommend taking notes. You will forget shit. You'll be like, oh, this sounds like I'll remember it. No, you will forget shit by the end of this. So yeah, next time we take a water break, I recommend it. All right, so the next bit is going to be footwork. So let's talk about that A-frame. We'll get that stance. So like I said, you can either be standing a little bit more upright, you can have a slight lean forward. We're not going to be doing a lean back with that one today. The A-frame. Sword protects your head, right? Hand protects your head. Actually, before we do that, grab your shield. So you guys can actually see and feel what this is like.
Which shield do you want?
Punch shield at the smallest. Where'd that round shield go?
Do you run in the
There it is.
basement?
We've only got those 2.
Which shield do you
Wooden shield is also fine too.
I don't know if we have. We only have.
I have 2 like Muay Thai pads that kind of act as socket punches.
That can work as well. Only reason we're not doing buckler today is buckler just has a lot of extra blocks and shit in it. Everything you learned today with sword and shield can be used for buckler, but there's a lot of fun, finesse, extra shit that goes into it.
want?
Yeah, that's why I brought him. And if anyone needs the other one, the
You guys know they're
super fancy one.
something on the hand.
I was like, I didn't know which one you wanted.
Make it work.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you don't have having a shield, at least like a glove will also work if necessary.
Shield? Blue shirt?
I was gonna say, if someone does not have a shield, there's an extra one there that Mike has as well in his hand. I would recommend using that. Since you only got a glove. Yeah. Grab a shield.
I mean, I've used that glove as a shield before, but.
We want to get in the habit, because the thing is, when you guys actually have a shield in your hand, you're also going to learn where some of your defensive points are that you have as a advantage versus a disadvantage. Like for me with this one, this round shield gives me a whole bunch of, gives me the very middle ground of defense and also attack, right? Whereas something like that will give you maximum defense, and there's some things you don't even have to do to be protected. Whereas something like a buckler, you have to move that thing around constantly. And actually with that, throughout buckler, you can't even use it like a shield. If you use it as a static shield, it'll just get moved around. Everything with buckler has to be punched out to stop the attack. Alright, so we'll go into that A-frame. So you'll see, when we go into this, with this shield has a little bit of extra edge to it, right? It has a little bit of extra space. But I still have to have my hand lined up with my head. I can't just have my shield slightly lower to protect it. So, when I stand, my sword also does not need to be touching my shield. But I don't want it right here, because if I have it right here, I'm not protected. The way to know that you're protected is get into your stance. I'm going to walk around, I'm going to swing at your head. Not right. But if I do this, if I strike, I shouldn't have to, like if I have to put no force in and I hit your head, it means your A-frame isn't good. However, if I go down and I can hit your head, your A-frame is too wide. Or it comes down slightly. Now when I do this, now it's protected. Let's see. Same thing here. If I strike here, if I strike there, your head's protected. And same thing to think about here. So you notice your buckler needs to be slightly higher. But don't narrow that stance. Keep your elbow wider. So like that's the thing too, is like when it comes to standing, this isn't like boxing or Muay Thai where you want your hands kind of tight here. You don't want your elbows up here because you don't want your rib cage exposed. You do want to have it out. Notice what I do here. Instead of having my elbow tight to my body, I punch my hand slightly out, and this fully protects my head. That's my stance here. That's one of the things that people will have a problem with in Sword and Shield, is they'll stand too upright, and they'll stand like this. and they'll stand tight because they are thinking of boxing. We're not boxing. We have a sword. We have a shield. So use it. If you have to keep your shield held up as high as possible all the time, like that high, you're going to tire your arms out. We don't want to do that. You want to be as lazy as possible and as effective as possible. This, and if I have armor on right now, so when I had my old kit, my arms were fully encased, and I had a brig that sat a little bit too out for my my torso. I could just rest my arm like this. I wouldn't do anything. This was as simulated as me sitting like this. So think about also the fact of the width of your sword as well. The edge of that sits diagonally out. Doesn't sit flat like this. Doesn't sit edge on edge. It sits slightly diagonal. It follows the line of your arm. So that false edge follows against your arm. The true edge goes out towards your fingers. All right, so get back into stance. Again, I'm going to keep modifying each of y'all's stances to make sure everything's all good. All right, so. Yep, so with this, so widen your arm slightly, your sword like that. And you'll think, oh man, I'm exposed here, but you're not. I can't hit you there. I might hit your arm. But that one's much harder to hit, because you can see that coming at you and do something about it. And with your shield, back in the stance, I do this. Again, this is why heater shields are great, because if I strike down, he doesn't even have to move. Yeah, don't move at all, just stay. If I go for his torso, I can't hit his torso. And if I want to hit his legs, I got to get close to him to hit his legs, because if I just try to strike around, I might hit the edge of that shield. Heater shields are, if you want to be a duelist, heater shields like this are your absolute friend. Punch shields, you don't want to be using punch shields for that. But using a heater shield for a pro fight, they hit really fucking hard. But they're also really easy to get a hold of and manipulate someone and move them around. Turn it into a door that I can just start pulling them around. And that stance was good. Go ahead, something. So if I strike here, I had the right mindset of it. Having the blade out and punched out. And same thing there. So I strike here, strike to the top, strike to the side. Good. So you just had the advantage of you decided I'm just gonna. I used to know a guy who was named Jimmy when I was in the Fiat Lux. This guy was about 7 feet tall. He weighed somewhere around like 250, 260 pounds, and he wanted to duel with one of those. He also used the top of a table as his shield. It got made illegal because he injured someone by running them over with it. Alright, so if I strike down here, if I strike here, and if I strike around here, ultimately protect it. One thing that you won't always be able to easily protect is going to be that very top portion of your skull without getting too over the top with this. But again, that's a really easy fix, because if I go to swing at the top of his head, he just has to raise that very slightly. This is not a perfect defense, but this is designed so that in most ways that I go to attack him, I can't strike him at my easiest spot, I can't easily strike him at my easiest spot, and I can't strike him easily here. Can't easily strike him in the torso. And even if I try and strike him in the torso this side, I might hit his guard. Or at most his hands, and in some of the rule sets, hands don't count. Right? The only thing he has to worry about is his legs, but we'll go over that in a minute. Alright? Just skip right over you. Alright, so again, same thing here. You can see, again, since Michael's been training me for a while, you can see the fact of how he's slightly leaned forward and how that shield, he's using the edge and corner of this shield so he doesn't have to be as dynamic with his arm. He doesn't have to wear his arm out as much. Again, this is also the advantage if you'll notice, if you turn the shield to open it so they can see it, you'll also notice that the type of grip on the shield will also make a difference as well. My hand is straightforward, right? You can see on my shield, I run the middle line of this thing. And the punch shields, they also run the middle line of it. Bucklers, they'll have more center grip. In duels, you also deal with some assholes that like to use their center grip shields and they'll hold these things like this. I'm really glad that none of you have a center shield, because then I just hate you for the day. Especially if you are a lefty using a center grip shield. There's one guy out in Ohio who uses that. And then there's a guy down named Renaud who also does the same thing.
Of course it's from Ohio.
Alright, so just right here. That sword, kick your elbow out slightly. And then have your sword follow what that new line you created. Right about there. Because that way, when I come down at your head, now you're protected. You weren't quite protected enough for that, right?
Alright.
And same thing for here, if I go to strike this way. Alright. This, turn your arm like that.
Like this, not like
What
that.
that'll do is, because most of the shots, so if you do it the other way,
If you have like a
you're not going to be absorbing
Here,
shots
but
like
that
that.
obviously
right?
is smaller.
You don't actually have good
Yeah.
anatomical
So like mine is
strength
like
there,
this.
because that's going to turn your shoulder joint in a different way. You won't really notice as much until someone hits it and it strains it down. Whereas when you have it held out like that, where it's flat, Do you almost feel the difference in how I'm
Yes.
impacting the shield?
Definitely.
That gives you more strength that way. Whereas I strike this way, same thing. Then if I strike down to the top, and sometimes all it needs to stop it is just the foible. That's all you need sometimes. Because what we'll do is what it just did. We'll just bounce off the edge of the shield. Same thing as I told her. Turn it like that. Yes, and then bring your elbow slightly
So
down.
you should have your
There you go. So when I come down
sword
like
arm,
this,
foot out
same with
first.
this way, and same with this way. Right? Same thing here. I strike here, I strike here, and I strike here. Shield will protect.
Yeah, right.
Right-handed.
So it's not. I'm always like this.
So that's one of the things that when I first started learning sword and shield, we were practicing in a sport where everything allowed thrusting as well. And so what they like to do is they like to have their left leg forward, their shield forward. It would actually be more tipped like this, and the sword would sit more like this. And if you've ever been to an SCA event, this is the SCA stance. This is how most of them are fighting. They're whipping that shot around. They're shooting their shots forward. They're doing. This is about all they're doing because their shield is protecting all the way down to their knees. And I don't know if you all know this, but in the SCA, that doesn't count. Shins don't count. I've never understood that. That's why I liked EMP because they still use rattan, but then shins counted. So did your feet. So did your crotch. So did your neck. Everything counted. It was awful. That's actually where I got one of my concussions. Was a guy curb stomping me with steel-toed boots. Hit me so hard that it made my head bounce. The helmet bounce off the ground. My head bounced inside the helmet. When I got up after the fight, I walked out to where Avalok was making food. I sat down. He goes, "Are you okay?" I went, He goes, "You gonna keep fighting?" I barely remember the rest of that night. I know I fought, and I think that was the same night as the forest fire, but I don't remember for sure because of the curb stomp concussion. Yeah, I haven't made a lot of good choices in my years of fighting. So, stance, protection. So stand like this. Next thing we're gonna go over is the footwork. Okay? So, when we're in the stance, one of the first bits of footwork is just being able to switch step. I was just talking about left leg forward. Why I was saying it, actually explaining that, why the left leg was forward for them, they were dealing with thrusts. So the reason that you might have your left leg forward is if a guy's trying to bring in a thrust for an attack, you can protect with that shield better. That shield becomes your main defense. However, I've found fighting guys that do thrusting fighting, using this A-frame actually still works better. Because compared to that, I lose sight of my legs. With this, I lose sight of nothing. That's the other reason we do the A-frame. I don't lose sight of anything. I can see you perfectly and clearly through this A-frame, and I am protected with the upper half of my body. I can just shoot this down to protect it. I can shoot this down to protect that side. I can shoot this down to protect that side. My legs just don't be there. So, now this, but the first part is how do we move? Switch step is the first one. To do a switch step, your torso will turn your left shoulder, bring that forward. You'll stand even with your legs, and then shift the other foot back, and you'll make a mirror. So, we'll start off with right leg forward. Kick the left leg forward, get even, then you kick it back. Now, I will also tell you when you're doing this attack and doing the stance, you're not going to walk up to your opponent and be like, each time you're basically exposing yourself to being pushed over, right? This is something that I might do as I'm walking up to you. I might be just within range, right? Or say you get me in a corner. If I'm in this corner, well, I can't really go backwards and I can't really go forwards, right? But if I can switch my movements on him and keep him at bay, then I can start generating more force. Now that does open up the fact that if he's super aggressive and may try and throw me, but that's when pro fights come into play. If we're thinking just duels and we're just trying to get points, where grappling and binding are not a thing, this is a great way to be able to keep generating force on your attacks. It'll become incredibly important for longsword. Less so in sword and shield, it's still good to know. So, practice for a little bit. Switching steps. So, switch. 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 Now the other thing you also want to make sure you don't end up doing, which it looks like I'm doing. I shouldn't be doing that. I should know better. Talking about that sword. If I were to drop this, and I start doing my switch step, if I start kicking, and that sword gets kicked, I've kicked too far. When you're doing this, take a little glance at your feet and notice if you're getting too narrow each time you do this. If you need the bit of reinforcement, drop the sword. Use that. Do it enough. But ultimately, this stance should just be a mirror. And the only thing that changes truly is that one hand will end up being a little bit more ahead than the other, right? It started with my sword hand being forward. switch to my shield being more forward. But one thing we don't want to have happen with this. Pause for a second to look. When I move my hands, I don't want to switch so far that this hand shoots way back. This isn't like a video game where now like my hand's all the way back here for some sort of big power attack, right? If I end up shooting this back, and I'm standing more like this, I've now lost a lot of my advantage for what I can attack with and how much force I can generate. Yes, my shield is way forward, but also my punching strength is reduced. We want to, when I switch, I can still strike. I switch, I can still strike and do everything I need to. I can still strike. I can still strike. That's what we're going for with that. All right. Next one. Advancing and retreating. Start with right leg forward. So, for the advance, I'm going to break it down in over-exaggerated terms to start with, but I will tell you, this isn't what you're going to do every time you do an advance. This is just an advance. My front foot, whichever foot is the one that's at the front, whether it's left or right, that will lift slightly. That will cause a slight lean back. I'm not saying like lean back like this. I'm not doing the Thriller. This. You know what this is? Foot is going to lift, and then the back foot is going to shoot us forward. When I say shoot you forward, I'm not trying to get from here to that plant. I'm not trying to do this. All I want is a really tiny step. When I say tiny, I mean real tiny. It's about the length of each of my feet, right? That's how far I'm moving. And when you are stepping, you don't want to step like this. When I lift this foot and I land, I'm not landing heel to toe. If I'm fighting you and I'm watching you land heel to toe, I'm then going to time every one of my strikes to land when your foot hits the ground. Because that moment of heel to toe, you're stuck in that motion. It's like if you play video games, it's like Dark Souls, you're in the middle of drinking a potion, right? That enemy gets to attack you, you're screwed. You don't get to do anything while that animation is happening. Same thing. This is your healing animation, you don't want to get screwed. So when you step, you land there. And the thing is, if you land on the balls of your feet, you can land and immediately shift to something else, right? And that's what we want to be able to do. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice the advance. Start off with. You guys in the front, you'll get to the edge here. Those in the middle, get a little bit behind them. Those in the back, behind the ones in the middle. Don't crowd fully up on each other. I don't really want to see people like just running into this thing for no reason. I feel like everyone's smart enough not to do that. I feel like we're not lemmings. I hope not. All right, so. I know, that's why I said I hope. I said I hope. All right, so lift front foot, step forward. Lift front foot, step forward. One thing you'll notice too, if your stance is too narrow, you're going to feel unbalanced. However, if you have the wide enough stance you're supposed to have, this shouldn't feel uncomfortable at all. This should feel just fine.
Once you go from wing to use this, it's more of a, it's your range, even A range. Not
Yes,
your
this is not something you're typically going to use when you are standing this. So if I'm standing this far away from you, right? So if I'm standing all the way out of range, I'm not going to keep advancing towards him. I'm probably just going to walk to him. Why would I waste energy being in a stance that's going to wear me out when I can just walk around, right? However, once I start getting into a range, like see, now I'm here, right? Now I'm actually in stance. Now I might advance towards you, or I might retreat away from you, or any of the other things I'm going to show you guys today. That's where this comes into play. And in a melee, I don't see you guys advancing and retreating in a melee. That doesn't really seem like it's going to be beneficial. You'll be slowly advancing to him in this really fancy uppity way, and a guy's just going to take you out from the side.
We only advance in melee, sir.
What was that?
We only advance in melee, sir.
Yeah, we don't run.
I'm going that way.
All right. That being said, all right, guys. So what I want you to do is now anyone that was in the back, now you guys are in the front. Now I want you guys to advance towards me on this side. Now I'm going to critique each of y'all's advances. All right. Start. Find your stance. Notice,
Yep.
an Olympic fencing.
Aha.
You're not narrow, but you're getting there.
I know that my back foot goes in every time I do
Yep.
that.
So for those of you that are struggling with your,
dragging your foot.
so for those who are struggling with your back foot getting over in line, one of the things that I tend to tell people as well is, and we'll really get into this with side steps, as you're advancing forward, it will, you'll notice this with side steps. You'll start crab walking. Start trying to get the plant. So when you're doing this, this can look really simple, like, right? But in fencing, it's like this. You're doing epee, right? I would be standing fully in line. Standing like fancy tippy movements, right? But we're not doing that with this because we're doing with shields and people that can kick us and throw us. I actually threw our coach one time in fencing because she fletched me, got too close, and the shield work kicked in, and I threw her to the ground. She wasn't too happy with that. She fletched, hit my foot. Her body hit me. My arm was here, so then I just went like this. She rolled across the ground, got him, and what the fuck, John? And I was like, I'm so sorry. Please don't kill me. She also used to compete in boxing, so I was like, I'm probably about to die. So, the way to stop that from happening, getting too in line, when you go to step forward and shoot that foot forward, you can curve this foot aside, or just make sure before you even start, do your first step. Do my first step, check, good. Next step, check, good. You're not gonna do that in a fight, of course. That would look really silly. If you win a fight doing that, I feel like you just deserve gold at that point, because that's going to throw someone off. But while you're practicing, take it slow. It's one of those things that you go, well, this should be simple, this should be easy. Not necessarily. You're learning strange mechanics. Now, I will say, once you learn this is stuff you can just walk around your house doing, and then you might end up finding yourself walking around in public doing it. I have to sometimes stop myself because I'll just do it randomly. But it gets into crowds really well, actually, all this footwork.
It's so fun to do it.
So, get back into your lines. Let's do it again. This time, if you're struggling with your feet being too in line, pause, check, correct, then keep moving. All right, go ahead and start.
Go back down.
That's better, yes. And again, remember, as tall as you are, with long legs, you have a lot of base you can work off of. Widen your feet just like that. When you asked me to critique that fight video, that was one of the main things I saw.
Which one?
You just sent me one video and you asked
So
me
you're
to
not.
critique
Oh, yeah.
stepping
When I was fighting Manning, yeah.
Yep, most of your footwork was very
just
casual,
lifting
Yeah.
it up.
Yeah.
and that was the big
Very
one.
tired.
like seeing
And totally
Very
understandable.
tired.
One thing I'll tell you guys as
More
well, when it
intention.
comes to being
Influence
exhausted,
in my direction.
you will actually
As I'm
find that
picking
being
it
able
out.
to stay in this stance will actually feel less
'Cause it's like
tiring
I'm-
than it will be to doing
I'm
other
going
types of
off to
movement
one
walking.
side,
It
and that's
feels
what I'm
like
messing
that.
up.
I'll actually go
Feels
over
like
a drill
But
we'll
it's
do in a
one of
minute
those
as
things
well
that
once we
you
get all the
decide
footwork
it's
into
a
play.
different
All right, next,
mechanics of the
switch
step.
feet. Your right foot forward, now put left foot forward. All right, start to advance. Watch your feet. No, you corrected it. Yep. You're gonna notice you're very in line. Put that back foot up first. Same for you. You're very in line. You'll notice switching your legs up, you'll end up being more in line. Or you might end up not being. You might end up actually feeling better with this one. Widen your stance forward and down. Outside to side,
I'm
forward. You're
jumping
standing very close to
forward.
the axle.
Try not
Stand
to.
as a more
But it is
power
like when
stance.
you're this close to someone,
See how
you're
this
like,
is a wider sort of fighter
You're
stance?
able
That's
to
what we're going for. And then you
back
take
and
that
forth
leg out and
almost.
back.
because that's what it kind of translates into.
All right, start going the other way. Start coming down this way.
Still left forwards?
Yep, still your other leg forward.
There you go. That's much better.
One thing I'm noticing with the balls at your feet, you're landing on your pinky toe. Focus more on your big toe and that whatever toe next to it.
So remember that you need that triangle up front rather than
Yep.
letting anything lag behind.
Yep, that's the other thing as well, and that's why I'm having you guys do this while you guys are advancing. Go and start coming the other way. One thing that will also help as well, not having shoes with thick soles. Boxers' shoes are a great way to start learning this, or even also having leather shoes.
Funny you mentioned that. I was just talking to Johnny about using boxing shoes for Boohart.
Yeah.
Because you can hide the laces.
Yep, that was what I trained for a while. Also,
These ones, because they're leather, 0% use, they're like white people moccasins level. You can feel the ground under you, but they're leather,
way too shiny, way too like breakable. These hold up. They're military metals.
I was thinking, yeah, those thin, because like I'm wearing a brand called Barefoot. They fucking made their prices insane. They used to be affordable and cool, but now they're like $400 a pair.
Oh, these are $70.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like so,
Super portable, super easy.
but finding shoes that have a wide toe box, not a wide toe box, but have a natural toe box and are flat. You'll notice I have basically nothing here. I will say a lot of Bohurt shoes, though, especially medieval extremes specifically, are designed after boxer shoes. So they have a little bit more sole to them, and they have that kind of rocking sort of design to them. So it just kind of depends on trying to model both your Bohurt boots and your training boots to be similar to each other. You don't want to be in running shoes, essentially. Because I'll notice with some of you guys, when you're stepping, it's causing your feet to roll. That's because you're not getting good contact with the ground because you have too thick of a sole. Also, both you and you as well, just heads up when you guys are landing, you're landing heel-toe. You want to land toe. Same thing for anyone else that might be doing it. That was just the two I noticed right off the bat. All right, now we're going to go from doing an advance to doing a retreat. So, what you guys are going to do is turn facing the campers. Oh, actually, I need to show you how to do this first. Let me show you first. Then I'll have you do that. It doesn't help to try and explain something you can't see it.
Right?
So it would, yes. In the basic gist is it's just going in reverse. The difference is for this one, if the back foot was the anchor for advancing, the front foot is now the anchor for retreating. Back foot lifts, front foot shoves back. Again, this is not a large jump. We're not trying to fully jump out of the way. What this is it's the kind of thing where when you retreat, that blade is swinging at your face and it just misses. You get that whole Matrix thing going on, right? And it's really cool if you can pull stuff like that off and really understand your timing and distance with your opponent and being able to just advance and retreat in and out of that, because that'll entertain the crowd. And one thing I learned from Gladiator, and then learned actually in fighting, if you want to build a reputation in the sport, you have to be memorable. Which is partially why I'm also teaching duels, because if you can make a duels fight entertaining, not just win the fight, then people will remember you. And if they can remember you, that's what gets you more connections with people. That's also what gets your name out there, gets you more fights, more chances to beat people up and have you beat up as well. So, all right. So for retreat, face there. You guys are going to go back this way. Put your right leg, whatever your dominant hand is, forward. All right. Start to retreat. Small steps on the balls of your feet, not on the heels. Take it slowly.
Sorry.
No worries.
Land and check, land and check. Although it looks a little awkward for some of y'all, a little bit kind of like a newborn deer, ultimately everyone's form actually looks really good retreating. Surprisingly. I thought you said you guys only go forwards. You guys are really good at going backwards.
Oh.
There's no habit.
So you have to break the habit of going forward,
Yeah,
but there's no, this is new. That makes sense, that makes sense. All right, come back this way, same leg forward.
That front foot sliding back. Where did it go?
I don't think you want to slide.
It's not sliding. It's
Yeah.
No, it's a little leap. You'll leave the ground entirely for a moment.
It's like a little. You don't want to drag your feet.
So it's gonna be a little bit different.
You just want to bring your back foot.
Like, look at my hand stance. So you're standing, this is how you're starting.
Even then, I started with kind of a more my own stance, but if I go back like a little bit more, I would squat down a little
Yeah,
bit
as soon as I leave the ground, it's
more, so
like,
much more stable. So those are just like
And also compressing down to the
Speaking of, I rewatched the Knicks fight. I didn't get a good view from
you know,
where we
you
were.
retreat.
Dude, he's just a sign maniac.
retreat, and then you advance, you're already springing, you know.
Any questions so far about anything?
So.
Or keep moving forward. I realize I haven't answered any questions. Spent any time. Hey, you have questions? Good.
I may have missed this right as I was coming up, but should our stance be like imagine stick between feet spread enough because I'm tending to go very in line. That's
Yes.
Yep, that is actually exactly what we talked about before. Was you drop the sword down, and that's how you do it. I saw you do it before, and I was like, you were there for that part because you just did it, and I was like, oh, he knows what he's doing. So that is yes. It was a good it's a good assumption, and it is a good way to remember. Yes, if your heel. So if I have the way I tend to stand, my big toes turned slightly in, my heel back towards this, When I am messing up is when my big toe hits that pommel and my heel hits the blade, right? This is me too narrow. This is me perfectly comfortable, right? And you guys, as you do this and learn, you will find that you might be a little better off, a little bit closer. You might be better off a little bit wider. You might be better off a little bit more narrow or a little bit more long, right? But that will come in time. All right, other leg forward now, and we do the retreat. Are we ready? Go and start. Which is also why we want to be in a good stance, because if you slip on a rock, for example, notice you didn't fall over or end up splitting.
I'm dragging that front foot a lot. I should really give it up a little more.
So surprisingly, if you have a slight drag to your front foot, that's not a problem. So if you guys win so if you're advancing, slight drag with back foot, not a problem. Retreating, slight drag with front foot, not a problem. When I'm talking about drag, to be clear on it though, if I'm stepping backwards, I'm not doing that. I'm not pulling a bunch of dirt and a bunch of debris with me and getting caught. Because you can even kind of see that as I do this makes my torso kind of get stuck and shoves me backwards, right? But if I step back, and there's that drag, that's fine. And actually, if you get a slight bit of drag while you're doing this, then you know that this is what's down, as opposed to this being down. Because if my heel is what's down, I'm not going backwards. I'm stuck. That turns to an anchor. But if this drags, no anchor. Especially in Bohurt shoes that don't have like cleats or anything like that. Unless they've changed the rules, as far as I'm aware, you still need leather soles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Or leather looking.
leather, very low profile rubber.
Yeah.
You can have that, but there's no cleats or.
Gotcha.
They can have very small ridges, but
Gotcha.
relatively smooth. Yeah, there's no tread.
They're still
You can't
not
have
real
tread.
shoes.
Have texture and no tread.
Texture, but not tread.
Gotcha.
That's what it is.
Gotcha. Yeah. I remember when they wouldn't even allow texture and they just had to be flat.
Yeah.
I hated those days. Trying to do that on a school floor, like doing demos
Yeah, and then
at
they want to
schools.
fight on concrete, and it's like.
And then you're just slipping and sliding everywhere. It's so bad. All right, so next thing we're gonna do, actually for that, probably about time. Grab some water real quick, something to drink. I'm like losing track of how hot it's getting.
What's up, buddy?
Supposed to be cooler than it was yesterday.
I was expecting this sun shirt to cool me off, but it's actually not.